Good day. I'm Trisha O'Connor. New York State is installing cameras inside every New York City subway car. Let's talk about it. But first, please subscribe, like, and share. We have so much more content that we're going to bring out, and you do not want to miss any of it. So, New York State Governor Kathy Hochul said her number one priority is keeping New Yorkers safe. So she has just announced that every single car, train car, will be uh, will have a camera installed inside of it. In fact, two cameras installed. Now they did have a pilot program where 100 cars got 200 cameras, two in every car. But this, they're going to be taking it to the next level and installing cameras inside every car. After uh, COVID, ridership has gone down, mental illness has gone up, homelessness has gone up, and many people have stopped taking the trains, and they're trying to get the ridership back up. Yes, people still take the train because people have to go to work, people have to go to school, tourists comes, gas prices are up, insurance prices are up, ownership, the maintenance to own a car. You also have uh, tons of cameras for tickets and parking enforcement and regulations. So yes, people still take New York City subway station, especially if you're going down to the downtown areas. But there are a lot of people who have stopped taking the trains, and people are working virtually now. You also have people who've just moved away from the city. And then there's some people who are just saying, I just don't feel safe on a train, and they find other options, whether they're biking it or taking they are driving, or they're using car service, or just finding other ways just not to go down to the areas where they may need to take public transportation. So the city is basically saying we need to find a way to get more people to take the train. And Mayor Eric Adams, he put out a subway safety plan. Now, with this safety plan that Mayor Eric Adams puts out, now, first of all, I want to say you should always want to be in a city that has a plan. Any mayor, any leader should be putting out some type of plan of what he or she plans to do within their administration. This is something that Mayor Bloomberg did. He put out many plans, he put them out to the public. He put out plans for every community board, housing plan. So, plan is very important. And then also giving the plan to the public. So, we, the public, know what to expect. It's a good read. It's about 17 pages. You could read it on your phone. If you see it on your computer, you could print it. Got the administration together and said, how can we better the subway? Now, I like the fact that he has a picture of a homeless person and someone helping, because that really pinpoints what a big issue of the subway um, is going through. Now, that's where a lot of people look for shelter. They always talk about there's an underground part of homeless people. I've never seen it myself, but you hear about it. But you do know that people go into, we're in New York City, so the weather's not always warm. So people go into the subway station for shelter. Homeless people go in there and sometimes live in there for a very long time. In fact, if you go back to this picture, there are homeless people who pass away right in the train, right in the subway, and they become a John Doe or a Jane Doe, or sometimes, they don't have any family. They end up in Pottersfield. That's not a life that people should live. The shelters may not always be the greatest, and we'll talk about that in other videos. But I want to get back to the mayor's plan, and the plan that the mayor has spoke to his administration about, on how to make the subway safer. And but he also talks about how to assist the homeless. And here he talks about the challenges within the homeless system. We face two concurrent challenges. First, thousands of our fellow New Yorkers experience street homelessness each night, many in subway stations across our city. Every person has their own story and challenges and deserves a unique path to help, whether through mental health care, treatment, or substance use, or support finding a home. He actually said, first and foremost, our biggest challenge is that the homeless people are living within the train station, and that is not some place they should be living, and we need to take care of that. And if there are mental issues, we need to assist with that. I actually took both these pictures, but the picture on the top, this gentleman, homeless, tired, sleeping. During a stop, he went and urinated in between the train cars. I could tell you at that point, the car was about half full because everyone was to the other side. They didn't want to stay too close to him. Now that the state is installing the cameras, if they don't have a police officer there, they'll be able to see it on their cameras and see that someone is there. According to what Eric Adams put out, they're going to help the homeless, and there are some who have mental issues. We see, when people come onto the train and they see someone sitting there and taking up seats, they don't know if the person is just homeless and tired. They don't know if the person may have a weapon on them, if the person has some mental illness and may attack someone. So this is the scare, that is the experience that makes people not want to come back and take the train. But for the mayor to actually address that issue is very important. He goes on to say the second issue, our subways must be safe and feel safe for every person who enters them. As we emerge from COVID-19, the subway system is a crucial piece of our economic recovery. Transporting students to school, helping workers back to offices, and allowing tourists to travel our city. Our city's prosperity depends on everyone feeling confident and secure when they enter a train station. So basically saying people need to get to work. When the people go to work, they stop, they buy food, they shop. People want to come to our city and spend money, and that's part of getting, having the economic aspect bounce back. And that just adds to installing cameras inside every New York City subway station. So, Governor Kathy Hochul said New York safety is a top priority. She said things are getting back to normal, but there needs more to be done. And part of the plan was to put these cameras in there, getting people to ride the trains again, come back out and spend money within the city. Also, New York City, they spend a lot of money advertising for people to take the subway, right? And in doing so, they want people to have a very pleasant experience, so they'll want to come back and take the subway again. One, it takes cars off the streets, right? And as we're trying to go into electric and use less fuel, that's a big piece of getting onto mass transit and getting that working, and getting the trains working on time. Because if there's a situation on the train and law enforcement has to come or EMT has to come, if you're on that train, you got to get to a meeting, an interview, work. It delays you getting there as well. So some people, that may be a poor experience for someone if they get somewhere late, and it's because of the trains, because of situations. Also, the city likes to have the streets clear. New York City is, very, it's a lot of people in New York City, and if emergency vehicles need to get through New York City, they want to be able to get through without traffic. So pushing people to take the train is something New York City has always done. In fact, former Mayor de Blasio had sued some of the gas stations. We'll talk about that in another video, just to kind of like encourage people to take the trains instead of driving. Now, um, Governor Hochul said as ridership uh, increases, crime decreases according to stats of how the numbers are going, and you'll hear that shortly. Also, remember in April, there was a mass shooting on the N train in Sunset Park. Allegedly, a 62-year-old man shot a lot of people. He put some smoke bombs out. No one was killed, but many people were badly injured. He is facing life in prison on federal charges. And then in May, allegedly, a 25-year-old shot a 48-year-old man on an unprovoked situation and killed him on a Q train to Manhattan. And in both situations, because there weren't cameras on the trains, it made it a little bit harder for law enforcement to even find these two people. There were cameras in the stations, on the platforms, by the token booth, by the machines, but actually in the trains, they only had those 100 cars with the pilot program. Now, those were 10,000 cameras. They have 10,000 cameras all throughout, like I said, except inside the cars. They installed over 2,000 cameras alone without. So basically, don't do anything in the train, because anyone who commits a crime, who damages any property, they're coming for you. They even said that uh they had so many situations in the train, not just inside the car but outside the car, that people were damaging the ATM machines. And you don't have to use it. You don't have to use the MetroCard machine. Sorry, you don't have to use the MetroCard anymore. You could swipe your credit card, but people were doing some type of scam with that. So they really were pushing to have cameras throughout the entire train station. So cameras in there, outside. If you commit a crime outside and you run into the train station, they're going to find you. If you do one in the train and you run out outside, they're going to catch you. There are cameras everywhere. So this camera program is now a full program from the pilot. The governor was looking for strategies and technology. Now this is the installing of the cameras is the governor's plan. This right here is the mayor's plan, Mayor Eric Adams' plan that he puts out. And as I mentioned to you, every single mayor, every single leader should have a plan. If you're not from New York City, you should go and see what their plan is in where you are. It's not necessarily a subway plan. If you don't have a train system, it could be a housing plan, it could be a food plan, it could be an education plan. There are many different plans. Before you live someplace, before you invest in the real estate in that area, you should definitely want to know what the plan is for that area. Now, in addition to the ridership going down, the workers weren't feeling so safe. MTA workers, the train conductors, the bus drivers, they're protected, but there were other professions that were not protected. And the governor passed a law in June that protects the other workers in the train station that work there. So this law basically relates to assaults upon certain employees of the transit agency or authority, and it makes it a felony to assault or harass customer assistance, ticket, revenue collections on trains or bus, maintainers, repairs, cleaners. So it just protects everyone now, and that is a bill that just passed. So it wasn't just the riders who were feeling unsafe, it was also the employees who were feeling unsafe. I also want to show you the ridership, right? Let's look at the ridership of the day-to-day of how these numbers are. So yes, people use the subway to get around, workers who work there, but it is also a business, right? So the MTA is also a business. People have to get to work, and they pay money to get onto this train. So these are the stats of the ridership. If you know these, you see these numbers. This is pre-pandemic days. These are the number of riders that have taken the subway in the last couple of days. They post this all the time. All this information you can Google. It's public records. I'm just putting it together so you can see it, and I'll indicate where you can find it. This is the MTA's day by day ridership numbers. If you notice, we're like 60s. We're in the 60s, 65% on Sunday, 71% on Saturday. Governor Hochul mentioned that on September 14th was the first time since March 2020 that ridership went up to 3.7 million. And then we just had one again on September 20th, where it went up to 3.7 million. The next day, it went up to 3.8 million, then 3.7, and then it went down to 3.6 on Friday. So just it shows you every single time someone takes a subway, the bank account of the MTA gets larger and larger, right? But they also have bills, they have salaries, they have everything they need, and they're looking at it and saying, listen, our numbers are low, and the city is looking at it like we need more people taking mass transit. So how can we get people to feel comfortable taking the train? And what they did was they interviewed riders, and they asked them, they said, what will it take for you to feel comfortable taking the train? And they realized that the cameras were needed, especially of the situations that were happening. I thought we would have been had cameras. If we have cameras everywhere else in the cars. Now some people will say too much, too many cameras. Cameras are everywhere. Some people may feel safer, but after the two situations of the shootings on the train, it's almost like they had to do it. So what we're going to do is listen to some of what the governor had to say, and on these new cameras that are being installed in New York City trains.
As we talk about how we can make people feel safer, and again, our law enforcement are the best in the world, we're trying to make sure that we have more monitoring in place. Monitoring that will allow people to be aware. I talked about having some signs in there. Our digital signs are great. I said, smile, you're on camera. We're working together to make sure that you are safe when you ride our subways. And so that's what we're doing. So last September, we announced that the MTA had over 472 subway stations had functioning security cameras. It was an important tool, but those are the stations. People are actually in the cars. And we talked about in June how we want to have a pilot program to start placing security cameras actually in the trains for the very first time, installing them about 100 cars back then. So while our pilot program is still underway, it's working very well. We wanted to announce that we are now prepared to be having the installation of cameras in all subway vehicles, all subway cars. And that's awarded through grants from the federal government. The Homeland Security Department, Homeland Security committees have a program that has money for security for urban areas. So a combination of $6 million from that fund and also our MTA action plan, we have over $6 million ready to do this. So what we're going to be announcing is that we're having two security cameras that'll cover the width of the train, installed in each one of the 6,455 subway trains. Now, I'm optimistic, and I believe that these will also be a deterrent to people. You're going to be caught if you conduct any activity, where it's an aggressive act or whether it's a violent crime. And so I think that's going to go a long way to helping easing people's insecurities that they may have, to know that everyone knows now that.
The governor said, Big Brother is always watching. So these cameras are coming, and listen, they got congestion pricing coming. They're gonna have more people taking the train, or having to take the train, unless they drive in, or they take a private car and pay for that. And people want to feel safe, so they think that it's gonna be it's gonna deter people from committing crimes. Also, people will feel safe that if they see the camera there, they feel that they feel that public safety is a priority, and they can take the train safely. They also, okay, so let's see. So this is just a supplement. So there are already cameras here. It's just they're going to be adding more cameras to the trains. Any new car that comes out um, will already have two cameras in there. This money was granted by the Urban Area Security Initiative, and I want to share that with you. So, where did all this money come from to install these cameras? So, FEMA has the grant program, and if you see up here, there is the Homeland Security Grant Program. And then there is the Urban Area Security Initiative, UASI. That is the money that FEMA gave for Urban Area Security Initiative. And then it goes on to talk about what that money is. The Homeland Security Grant Program. HSGP includes a suite of risk based grants to assist state, local, and tribal and territorial efforts to prevent, prepare for, protect against, and respond to acts of terrorism. The grants include under HSGPR, and the Urban Area Security Initiative provides 615 million to assist high-risk urban areas in preventing, preparing for, protecting against, and responding to acts of terrorism. And then when you go a little further, here is fiscal year 2022 UASI allocations, and then you have New York and New York City. And that is the money that they received from the federal government in order to um, put cameras into the train stations, right? And also, make the employees feel safe, make the riders feel safe, let the MTA make the money that they want to get back to before. They may never get back to how it is before COVID. People are working virtually, people moved away, but to get people to feel, the people who do come there, to feel a little safer there. MTA chair and CEO Lieber, he's happy for these cameras because he said it's going to catch the criminals. These cameras are going to assist law enforcement in doing their detective work. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is happy for the camera because he said public safety and quality life is important, and he believes it's going to add. Remember, he put out a plan, so it was a step towards his plan as well. NYPD Commissioner Sewell said safety is her priority. Now, keep in mind, terrorists. This is what NYPD Commissioner Sewell said, mentioned in her statement, is that terrorists. This could deter terrorists, and if they have to use it to solve anything. New York City Transit President Richard Davey says he hopes that it deter criminals from committing acts, also vandalizing the subway station. And then MTA Chief Safety and Security Officer is happy that these cameras are coming because he says it will protect the public and the employees. All this information, I will put it in a link so you can have it. I also, to our young people, to the young people who take the train, you heard Governor Hochul, Big Brother's watching. Please be mindful that when you get on these trains, that the pictures are very clear. The pictures are very clear. You can see right through the train car. And I will, let me see here if I can get one here for you and show you how clear it really is. And our young people, please, to the parents, the guardians, we need to talk to our young people about getting on the train and knowing that yes, they're supposed to behave themselves, but every single thing they do will be on camera. And I have a couple of questions. Who is monitoring these cameras? The governor didn't answer those. Well, no one asked those questions in this press release, in this press conference, and they didn't answer it. But who is going to be monitoring these cameras? Are they 24 hours? Is someone going to respond to it right away? These are some of the questions that I would still, who has access to these cameras? Is it the MTA that has access to these cameras? Is it the NYPD? Is it, can you just go on an app and the public see it? These are questions that I would like to know. But what I do want to do is show you how clear these cameras are. And just be mindful, you're being watched. You're being watched, and the governor said they're monitoring it. Like I said, I don't know if it's 24 hours. I would assume it's 24 hours, or if it's a playback, and who has access to it. But look how clear this camera is. Please just look at it. You can see very clearly. You could make out the person's face. You can see every corner. They really they took, this is what, the 7 train. They took one of the cleanest cars for this video. These are not how many of the cars look. But they knew what they were. The MTA knew what they were doing. They had to show the governor and take a picture of the nicest car. But just to show you the camera and the quality of the camera inside the trains. Now they they believe they'll be finished by 2025. They are aggressively putting about 300 cameras every single month, I believe. So they hope to be done. All new cars will have cameras already in there. Just be mindful of everything that you do. We tell the children going to school, and let's see what kind of improvement happens. Happy to know that the mayor is actually looking at the homeless situation and helping them, and not just throwing them out, that he does have a plan ahead of this and to help them. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. We have a lot more information and content coming out. Peace. Stay blessed.